Yeah, for me it was like a torture. Yeah, because I told you we were living a very normal life, and we it doesn't make sense to we couldn't make it better. It couldn't be better than it was. So I would say it was all came negative in a negative way. And like I told you, for me personally, I always wanted to stay in Damascus, and this is like the place I were born in and I grew up in. So why would I go to another place and start from the crush from the zero? And even coming to Germany, it wasn't that easy because we stayed in that refugee home in Kirchdorf. I think I told you before, but and it wasn't. It never went well. It was always troubles about. It's the same. It's the same. Like it's jealousy, and it's like people who are not from the same place where you came from. So it's always fighting over those small things. And me, my father, my sister, we really got abused from it. So it happened this way.
And what do you mean abused from it? There were I know the story that your father couldn't go to the toilet because he was Sunni or some Shiite, it blocked him, or some bullshit for religious reasons, which happened then in the refugee home, and he kind of became dependent on you girls, his children, a man who stood very much in his life, had his own company, and then the whole family spread, your brother in Brussels, whom we met there, your mother in Paris, your father here with you girls. Also you were fleeing to have freedom and democracy, and then how was your first experience here in Germany?
My first experience was when we came. They put us in this refugee home in a village. And this village, like you all know, village in Germany, like at 6 o'clock you find no one, and it's like they're deserted. Like there's no one to talk to, and you need like so much time to earn the trust of the people that you are living with. So we stayed in those small rooms, and it was like cold, and there was no one. It's like so deserted. It's like very far from your Munich, and with that, with all on top of all that, they came like 6 men, new men, to the after we lived in this refugee home. Came 6 more men, and we thought like they came after us, so there won't be trouble. We can show them how it works here, and what's not. And all of a sudden you always smell the smoking, and you always hear loud, they speak so loud that so you can't wake up the next morning because they stay all night talking and shouting and all that. And my father never used to go up from his room because my father's like 60 years old, and he have his name machine, his sewing machine. So he works in his room, and he doesn't need to go out. So the other men, they said like, this is so ego, why you don't go out. But my father, like, he have 2 girls, so he can't communicate with the other men. So it's like it doesn't mean anything. So my father used to stay in his room. He used to study. He used to fix his clothes or our clothes and others' clothes. We go out all cooking and things. And so they started to say that you have to clean and you have to do this and you have to do that. And all of a sudden they start to making like balls or something, and they started to threaten him with us. And and it turns down to a very bad situation. And I spent like 8 months in my life, they were like nightmare for me, because I feel afraid to go out from my room. And sometimes I go out from the window so no one can see me, and I can go to the woods or to Munich to make friends or something. And after that I found a Wohnung in here close, and it's for one person. And I was really suffering because I never wanted to leave my father and my sister, because my father never left us when we came to Germany. And it was very hard on me to go and to live there. But I had to do it because I couldn't bear living in that refugee home. It was like a mini hell for me. It's like a small hell.
Also as a girl, probably.
As a girl, and in my imagination, Germany wasn't like this.
Mm-hmm.
In 8 months, and I was thinking like, Germany it's a refugee home, and it's a big prison that I have to deal with, and I can't go to any place because I don't have my car, and I don't have my friends to go and to hang up with. And it was really bad. It was so dark. So when I moved to this new place, I started to start over for the 3rd time. And I think it catched a little because I started to look for events on Facebook. And I found this event, it's called Language Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I met a girl. She works in Welcome Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me like every month there is an event where people gathering and you find activities. And for me personally, I had so many questions in my mind of how the things work here in Germany, how to go to schools, how to go to university, how to anerkennen your certificates and all that. And she told me about this event. She told me you can make friends there and you can do a lot of things. So I went there, and this is where I met you. When it was November last year.
Yeah, I talked about Saide.
You talked about Saide, and that you had made a small presentation about Zufluchtskultur. And when you said like you feel so handicapped because you don't know the Arab culture and you want to know it, and you want to know what's behind.
Especially about the women-men thing.
Exactly, and you told the story about what happened in the first refugee home where you went. You talked about the opera. So I thought I can be helpful and I can show you a lot of things about even the Syrian and Arabic culture in general. Even the Egyptian culture, it's so full of films and cinema and all those things, and dancing and all that. So it was, then we started to go out and to see Saide, and we went to schools.
And you were playing in Saide. How did you feel this? You once told me how it felt for you on the stage. Can you describe this for us?
Yeah, when we made the first performance, I didn't know the literally how to do it, because we never had time. It was like 1 month and then we would go to the show. So there was this scene when it was the drowning scene, and it's like, it's eine Flucht, it's a journey of running away. And it really describes how the things goes, because it's like you go on the boat and then you go walking, and then you have all these forms to fill and you understand nothing, and you have people from everywhere, and you have to sleep in the streets, and you have to sleep in the tents with like 10,000 other person, and you see rats, big rats, and I have really fear from those rats, and they're all playing around in this tense. So I remembered every single details where we were playing, and I really, at the first show, it was really, I thought I can't continue because it reminds me of the things that I really want to forget. I really want to forget how I came here. It's not something you want to remember the rest of your life, but it helped to like live with it in a secure place. And after I performed Saide, it was like 4 times, and every time it became less pain than the other one, and
to relive it in a secure surrounding.
To live it, in a secure surrounding. And now when you shut the lights in the scene when all people have to sleep together, and with Puya were singing, and we had all go to sleep, and when I closed my eyes, I really remembered when we were in Serbia, and it was like 3 below the zero. This is the Syria, we don't have this 3 below zero. Yeah, no, 3 minus. And yeah, it was like I remembered everything, and it became less and less and less painful. So I loved it, and I'm really looking forward to do Saide again.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Then we didn't do Saide, but you played in Laboagen, which is a piece we just did it with 1 actor and you 2 girls, you and your sister Puya and me, and you really shared a lot of your songs in this day, like La Monili Ramoni. Maybe you sing the beginning for us. Can you sing it? Is it okay? Oh yeah.
لموني اللي غاروا مني قالوا لي وش عجبك فيها جاوبت اللي جهلوا فاني خذوا عيني شوفوا بيها جاوبت اللي جهلوا فاني خذوا عيني شوفوا بيها.
What is the song about?
It's like the people who were jealous from me, they blame me.
Mm-hmm.
They blame me because I love her.
So
and because you are jealous, if you are jealous, you can take my eyes to see how I see her, and this is the meaning of it.
For us, our songs are always super melancholic and very full of desire for us Germans. And also in Carmen, you and your sister, you sing Habibi and Lamuni, 2 love songs.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think everybody in this factory in Carmen is longing for freedom, liberty, as you do in your life. You were really leaving your home country for liberty. And I think you really create the 2 super true moments in this opera, because Carmen tries to destroy it with her action and sexuality, but you create them for us. And I had to think about you a lot, because you once told me that you were really kidnapped in your home country, and that was the last point where your dad said we run for our lives. And now doing Carmen, I understand that there is a certain point where you just take everything you have, your whole body, you use all your means to go to find a better life. Maybe you tell us this story. Can you share it with us?
Yeah, because after the war happened, you can find like groups. Those groups are taking advantage from everything, from the revolution and from the chaos that happens in the country. So girls and women in general were so threatened with their lives, with their...
I think threatening girls or doing bullshit with girls is also a means of war. I mean, you make the women victims and you weaken the men by this.
Exactly. And it was something if you want to go to university, you feel trapped, and if you want to go to your work, you always feel like you are surrounded, and you feel like when you go in the street, like everyone is looking at you. And I lived in the countryside of Damascus, so I need time, like I need like 40 minutes to go to my place to reach. And this is where the really fighting points. So once I was coming back from university, and there were really trouble with transport at those days, because you have to the Hauptstadt, the capital, it's so full, and because all the people who were fighting and the society had to move and to come to the safe places. And this is how you feel like this in Damascus. It was so full of people, and so in the transport, people are on top of each other, and you can't find taxis, you can't find. So you had to wait a lot to go home, and at that time I had to go home like at 9 o'clock or 9:30 in the evening, and the bus wouldn't come. He doesn't want to go inside. He told me, I will put you and you can continue those. You can walk like 15 minutes and you reach your home. I can't go further. So I was walking and it was so dark and there were no one. And my father is calling me all the time, and I have to be in a hurry. So I heard like a gunshot. It was so close, and there were those parts are fighting. It's like you hear gunshots and then it goes, and then you hear it again. So you never know when it would come. You never know. When I heard the gunshot, I had to walk beside the wall. So you can't walk in the streets when you are hearing these things. And when I had to go to the wall, there were cars on this trottoir, on the sidewalk. So these cars, I can't look at who is in the car. I was looking in front of me. I never thought there would be someone in those cars. So there were like two cars behind each other, and they were close to the wall. And when I were walking there, I thought it could be like a protective thing. And all of a sudden, someone opened the first the door. He opened the door, and they wanted to open the two doors, so I'm stuck in the middle. But they opened the door before I come to the middle, so they didn't see that I have space to leave. So one of them, I can't remember the faces. I can't. It was too stressful. So one of them, like, I only saw a hand coming out, and he was starting to like pulling me, and I was like, I couldn't shout. It was so too scary, and he was started pulling me, and I didn't know what I couldn't understand what really happened. It was so scary. So I tried to pull myself back, and my shoes was taken off my feet, and I found myself without shoes. So I don't know how I slipped. I don't know how. I can't remember how I ran away. It was like I had this hair here in the back of my neck. It was so scary. I can't remember all the details. I just ran away with my shoes off, and I lost my books and everything. And until these days, I don't know how I could have run away from that. It was like really something I really want to forget, because I stayed like 6 days shivering, and I never wanted to leave my apartment. And like I remember I was so white and I was so yellow, white and yellow. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. It was so scary because once a girl's been kidnapped, they'll never go back the same.
You told me about your friend who was kidnapped. Yeah.
It's not my friend. It was the neighbor of a person I know. It was their neighbors. They kidnapped her, and they were calling her father. He was from the rich people, so they called him. They told him, like, you have to pay a certain amount. I can't remember how much was it. They have to pay this so we can let her go. We can release her. And the father told him, I want to talk to my daughter. When she talked to him, she told him, don't pay anything, because even if you paid, I'm not gonna continue my life like this. And he paid for her, and they released her. And like after like 2 days or 3 days, she threw herself from the 10th floor. Yeah, so she suicided literally, because it's like you can't imagine what they can do to the girls. And you don't know this group of people. Who are they? You can never know. Are they fighting for this side, or what they are fighting for? What do they want? So this is what makes the situation in Syria so complicated, because you can never understand. I'm a Syrian and I can't understand what's happening. Even if I asked, it's always something, it's always foggy. So, yeah. To forget and to start over, but when I see how really people here are really want to help you and want to see you in a very higher place, where you want to learn language, where you want to work, where you want to go to university and move on of your life. Because since I was a kid, I never dreamed of wearing this white dress or having children. I always wanted to go to university. I always wanted to study. I always wanted to have a position where I can be a very effective person, not a person who's doing nothing, only eating, only having babies, and it's not this is how about. It's not like this. There's a lot of girls like me. It's not traditional in Arabic country, I know, but there's a lot of women who really only want a chance to show how powerful they are. Even like German women. We have this also in Syria. We have like brave women. So now although really German is a very hard language, but I was lucky enough to have great teachers and a surrounding that helps me to communicate with, even in German language. It was like the biggest challenge for me to speak German like I speak English, or to know how to express myself in German like I do in English. And this is the key if anyone wants to, because here the government provided everything, and people have to be grateful for it and take advantage from it, and to really continue every course with itself and finish and succeed and do all this. So this is how I'm focusing really on moving forward.
And your plans are still to study and to go to the university, or you changed your plans?
I never changed my plan, no.
Ah.
It's really, if I find a chance where I can have a good work, because the study is the key of a good work and a professional work. So if I don't have this basis, yeah, if I don't have this basis, a base to have a good professional work with studying, then it's useless. I have to continue something I started in Syria and I never finished it. And even if I want...
You already know what you want to study?
Actually, I was looking for like orientation, and I already, all my papers are recognized and I can go to a department, so I'm finding difficulties with deciding, because I have like I can talk English, French, Arabic, now German, and I want to take advantage from that. Yeah, this is one of the past experience. So, but at the beginning I wanted Kommunikation, Wissenschaft, and I don't know if it's possible, because every year it's different with the notes and all that.
So at the moment you are finishing school, huh?
Yeah, I'm doing BUXUS.
Mm-hmm.
I will finish like after 3 months, and after that I have to prepare myself to the university, and then I have to apply for a couple of departments, so we could, yeah.
I mean, with your language skills, it would be perfect to study communication.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah, this is why I chose this at the beginning, but as I heard, like every year it's different with the notes. They need like a certain level of notes, so that's why. But this is one of my goals next year, so I hope it goes like I'm planning for. I might do like a couple of practicum, maybe. But it depends. It depends on how things will work.
may I come back to the beginning, because
Yeah,
we
of course.
interrupted you
Of course, yeah.
when you were talking about coming to Germany 1.5 years ago, or not?
Yeah,
It's
one
now
and a
1.5
half.
years.
Yeah.
And you came with your family, and how did you come to Germany?
Yeah, we stayed in Turkey
Oh.
for like for like 1.5 months. And
So you took a plane?
no,
No.
no. It was by taxi, buses. It was buses and taxi, personal driver. And then from Turkey, because there weren't flight to Turkey from Damascus to Turkey. It was too expensive and too difficult. So, and from Lebanon it was the same, and also the visa. They forced visa Turkey forced visa for the Syrians. So we came by bus and taxi driver, and then we stayed in Turkey for 1 month and a half. And then we were looking for smuggler, Schleuser, and it was so dangerous to have a good smuggler because you have to watch out carefully because it was so dangerous. So that's why we stayed 1 month and a half looking for him, and in the end we found this from the south of Turkey, and it was Antakya. I don't know if you heard of it. And it was like the starting point. We went from the sea. We took a rubber boat, and from this rubber boat we went to the forest. It was an island very far from Athena. You need like 24 hours to go to Athena, but it was the closest point to Turkey. And this is how we went there, and then we took like this ferry, a big ship, to Athena, and then we went with buses to Macedonia, and we stayed like 2 days there, and then from Macedonia to what was next? It was Macedonia, and then no, it was Serbia, I think. Serbia, and in Serbia it was the most difficult because we stayed like 3 days, and they weren't allowed to open the tent until like 12 o'clock. And you have to stay in the bus. It was so cold. I never felt this cold in my life.
So
in
always
Serbia.
you and your father and your sister.
Yeah, and my father, like, he stayed like 3 days. He never took the shoe off, so he couldn't walk on his feet. He had to take off his shoes and stay on the street like this. It was a nightmare. It was really unbelievable. And they keep people out of the tents the whole day until like 12 o'clock. And you have to sleep only 8 hours. So you wake up at 8 o'clock, you sleep like at 12 o'clock, and you wake up at 8 o'clock and you just walk in the street. And it was a highway, so there is nowhere to go. And then we went into Slovenia, and the journeys was always in the night. They were always at night. So the people won't see those immigrants and those big numbers of people. And always in in shipping trains. You know, the shipping train, they are not for humans. It's like so cold and no lights. And it's always been at night, and you can't see anything, and you only hear the people in front of you. And when we came to Austria, it became better. They put us in buses, and then we came to Germany, it became even better. And yeah, it was this way. And then we came to Germany, we have this form, you don't understand anything from it, and you have to fill it, and if you don't fill it, an employee have a bad day. He can never do it for you. Yeah.
And on the boat, you once said the boat was made for 20 people and you
Yeah.
were 50 people. Or something.
No, it's like the boat is made only like for 25 people. And this is the reason why the boat's drowning. Because they put, like, it's a boat for like 25 people, and they put like 70 and 80 people. And they stuff the children in the middle. And like the all like children are like soldiers, and they are holding your hands, your legs. They hold you like this, so you hear the crying in the night, and you hear them cold, and it's always children that get really.
Scream.
No, it's like them. It's not their fault, but it's always on them. It's the pressure is like so much double on them, because it's too creepy. Like as a person who is like 20 or 25, you can really deal with it, but a kid he can't stay like 2 hours in the middle of the sea, and it's cold and it's night. It's so. It's not good. It was never like
The boat
suitable.
was sinking, but you
Yeah,
were a good swimmer.
at the end, the boat were, because there were too much people, so it started to leak, and then when it wasn't a shore, it was what was the name of
Island.
it's an island, but they were like big ships come to that place, so it wasn't a beach, it was so.
Like a little harbor.
Yeah, a little harbor. It was a little harbor, and but luckily the Greek boat came, and he took a lot of people, but we can manage to go there by ourselves. It was it wasn't so far. But there were a lot of people. They always put much than the boat can handle.
So you lost everything you brought with you?
We actually no, we didn't, not everything, because we had like backpack, and we put like a cover or another clothes, but the important papers we put them in nylon. Yeah, the money we have for the journey, we put them in nylon, and we put them inside, so because we know that it might something happen, so that's why the important things we put them by ourselves, and the rest like clothes and socks and other boots and the other things, it won't be a problem, because the organization, you always find a group of people on the way. They always give you things to cover yourself. They give you water on the way. They give you food. They give you boots. They give you a lot of things on the way. Volunteers from everywhere. I saw people from France, from Switzerland, from Canada, from the United States, and it was cool because I can talk to them. They all speak English. So they were like good friends on the way. So yeah, it wasn't that, it wasn't trouble. I tried to translate some of the things of the fellows I had on the way.
Did you have negative experiences as a girl on the way, or was that okay? Because I've heard that girls have a lot of problems.
For me, I didn't have troubles because I had my father with me.
Okay.
So when the girls are alone, it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have a man by your side, then no one. But there are girls that have troubles, I heard, but they're only when they are alone, when they don't have men by their side.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's because it's so mixed. It's so mixed. A lot of people from everywhere. Yeah.
Where's your father now?
Sorry?
Where is your father now?
Yeah, he lives in Freising.
Freising.
Yeah, so with my sister. And he goes to school also. He's trying to learn German. But it's no way. It's no way for a man that's 60 years old. It's, yeah.
Yeah, it's also sad because I see him as a man who was really standing in his life, very successful.
In the last days, there weren't much work because he used to do this bridal for the babies, this bridal clothes if you want to take your baby to a party or something. And he used to export them to London, to Turkey, to France, wherever. But at the end, when the war started, there was no way to export or import at the same time. So he had to stay local. And because of that, he found this person. He's known that he works with people and he doesn't pay them. But out of the desperate way, he wanted to work because he had to provide us with
food and money.
with whatever to eat, to go, to do anything. And I wasn't working at that time, so he had to take this from his saving and make this uniforms for this man. And he really paid a lot to make these uniforms. There were a lot of them. And when he finished, he told him, like, give me my payments and the work that I did, and I gave you your uniforms that you wanted. And then he told him, no, you give me my uniforms and I give you money. And then my father knew that he started to manipulate.
And he would never pay.
Yeah, and he would never pay. So he started to talk to him, where are my uniforms? He told him, come and bring me the money that I worked for, and I give you a uniform. It's so easy. And even though his father is a lawyer, and even though that they had a contract or something, his father, he can like manipulate with it. So he never paid for his uniforms. And my father never gave him his uniforms. So until this time, I don't know where the uniforms are.
Really?
I don't know where. And I remember they were in our house, but our house in Syria now, it's all like robbed. And all the buildings in the place we used to live are robbed and burned. Yeah, but this is how it works. Like, no trust and no.
Do you think the kidnapping story has a context with this uniforms? Does it have to do with that, or is that? It's only like I think of it sometimes. Is it related to it or not? You don't know.
I don't know. I never knew.
But it might be related.
It might be. It might be related. But it's like I'm bored of thinking of it.
You should.
And it's like I really don't care if it really related or not, because
the thing is you live and you have vision.
Because it really pulls you down. It really makes you move forward if you're always stuck in the past. And I'm even not thinking of going back to Syria now. And because I really I talked to my friends and they told me it's never the same. It's not the same that you are thinking of. And it will never be again. Because it's like 1 month ago I saw a picture of our new home, and I didn't recognize the streets. They were all blowing, and they were in the street, in the main street, they were like trees. So it was so sad, because I didn't recognize. If I went there now, I don't know which way to go, because it's so it changed a lot. You know what I mean? It's like the way of my building. I don't know how. I didn't recognize the photos. It's like everything is burned, and there were even trees on the streets where the cars should go. And it took me like a while to to guess which is this really where I grew up or not. So it was not something I really want to go back and see again. For me, it's not a chance. It's even starting new and forget all what happens, or stay there and have really mental illness in your mind. If you are really stuck there, it's not an option. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing the story.
Yeah,
Thank you.
wow.
Thank you for
Walaa,
listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for
That was
listening.
very deep and honest.